Okay. Are you ready? How do we look?
Great.
Good. Okay. Hey guys, it's Dani. So welcome to episode 1 of Hersatility, where we tell her story her way. I'm not even going to hold you guys. This episode has taken me absolutely forever. You would think, like, what am I nervous about? I have no idea. It's just a solo episode. I have my support system behind me, all women, by the way. And I don't know. I'm going to take that as I truly feel really affirmed about this project by God. I feel like He's confirmed it with me so many different times in so many different ways. And so I take this fear and like paralysis as the enemy trying to play with us. And we're not going to let that happen. So it's time to grow up. My videographer told me grow up. And that's what we're doing. We're going to go ahead and do this thing. We're doing it. It's happening. So what is Hersatility is probably what you're wondering. Hersatility is going to be a platform, primarily a podcast, but just an overall platform where I want to amplify women's stories in a very vulnerable and authentic way. There is one thing that I've realized about us women that we all have in common, all women that we all have in common, which is just how multifaceted and multidimensional we are. We have so many layers to us. So I really want to build community. I want viewers and you guys, whoever is watching, to look at the guests that I bring on here and these like wonderful, inspiring, high achieving women and realize that they are much more relatable to you than you may think. For example, so this whole thing and idea started with events that I was doing, and it was called Go-Getters at the time. And that's what I was doing. I was reaching out to these go-getter women, all high achieving, inspirational women that I admired for what they did career-wise, particularly. So I would find one woman, each in a different industry, and do a very intentionally curated, intimate dinner with each of these women. And one thing I came to realize is all of these women just have so many layers to them. Like one of them was a VP of a company and also a new mom, like going into motherhood and a wife. One of them was, maybe a celebrity fashion stylist who just migrated to this country 7 years ago and like navigating through that. One of them was another immigrant who has her own law firm. Another one is a divorcee and single mother who is a high-level executive at one of the biggest airlines in the world. I mean, literally every walk of life, but all of them just have so many different layers. And it's kind of been a recurring theme to me and brought to my attention that we're so versatile. We are so multidimensional. We have this ability as women to naturally and gracefully adapt to whatever new role we're handed. And I think I got to see that firsthand when I became a mother, which I'll talk about as well. But I want to bring these guests on, not only because they may be high achieving and, have reached certain levels of success in their career field, but for them to share what their day-to-day looks like and what their different layers are. Because one thing for me, for example, I've always prioritized a career title. I've come to realize where I was getting my validation from. And I'm in this new discovery phase of like, who am I? And this journey really began with motherhood. Motherhood, nobody tells you. Identity crisis. Like, who am I? What do I even like anymore? I didn't know myself is how I felt. And I've had lots of conversations and found out that a lot of new moms feel the same way and nobody talks about it. So it's started this new journey that I've also found other friends, colleagues that are going through the same transition that aren't mothers, right? That are kind of just stripping away of certain identities and realizing like, okay, who am I and where do I get my validation from? Because that ties back to your identity, right? So this journey started as a mother. I just realized that what I found most important, like what I thought was my life's purpose before and placed the most emphasis on, was kind of changing. It was still there, but like, was it first now? Or am I now, this beautiful baby's like everything and she's my everything. So now am I a mother first? Okay, no, I'm actually like God's child first. It's just been a whirlwind of thoughts and emotions, but I've come to realize that it's so important for us to really identify what that first foundation and like be grounded in. Okay, my validation comes from the Lord for me personally, right? And why that's so important is because if I fail one day as a mother and I didn't have a great day, as a mom, and mom guilt is getting the best of me, or if I get laid off at work, my world doesn't end. You know what I mean? I have that foundation and know that I'm good. I'm good. I'm going to keep pushing. I'm still me. They didn't strip me of my confidence. It didn't strip me of knowing myself. And I want that for everyone. I'm in the midst of it. If I'm going to be totally transparent with you guys, in the midst of this journey, but I want it for everyone. I want all women to be grounded in their identity and find what that is for them. Like I said, it's God for me, and find what it is for you. And I feel like that's a huge and beautiful turning point. So, along with this journey of self-identity and all these things, I also keep getting the recurring idea and thought of like how us women are society kind of tries to put us in a box, is what I'm trying to say. I always hear niche down. You have to know your niche. What are you promoting? What are you this? What are you that? And that's great. It's a great strategy. I'm sure it works for a lot of people, and it's a great way to be organized. I feel like it can also be a little limiting, especially for us as women. Naturally, we are, like I said, able to adapt to various roles. And I don't think that today's workforce is designed for that. And that's why this niche down culture is so like shoved down our throats all the time. As we're in like a rise of equality and women empowerment and all the things, I think it's just brought to my attention more and more that we can exist in multiple lanes as women, and we do so quite well. And that may not be the same for everyone. It may not be the same for men in particular, or for a lot of traditional executives or artists or whatever thus far. But as women, I just truly feel like we have the God-given ability to be able to kind of seamlessly merge all of our hats and all of our worlds in a calculated and organized and strategic way, of course. So with Hersatility, I just also want to encourage women to explore that. Like, if you have been in tech your whole life, and I'm literally thinking of one of my best friends who does this so well and is such a great example of Hersatility and what it embodies. If you've been in tech your whole life, but you're also an artist, don't be afraid to make that leap and like explore that, right? And does that mean that the tech side of you has to end and that high producing executive has to end? No. They can happen simultaneously, or maybe it does end and maybe you do pivot, and that is just a part of life and like divine timing. I just feel like, again, society will tell you like, what are you thinking? This is secure. This is you. You are this, like you're this executive. What do you mean you want to go paint, or you want to go sing, or you want to go do whatever? Like, no, you can't do that. Yes, absolutely. 100% you can. And that's what I want Hersatility to show to people. Even with motherhood, for example, because that's what I best relate to. What do you mean you're going to stop and slow down and be a mother? Yeah, like you can, and you can bounce right back to it. Or you can say, you know what? I want to devote the rest of my life, if you have, the support behind it, to being a mother. That's okay too. You know what I mean? Pivoting is so beneficial when done right and when brought to you by God and communicated in that way. And I think this whole niche down and putting us in a box stops us from that, and kind of instills a fear in us that we can't pivot, or that we failed if we pivot. And that's really not the case. Like, that truly could just be a part of your written story that God wants you to take the leap of, because you are versatile as this this woman with so many layers to you. So all that said, I want to tell you guys, if you're new here, in case you're new here, a little bit more about me and how this all ties back together to Hersatility. So I'm Dani. Obviously, as you know, I'm a mother. I am a believer. And this journey, I guess, it's funny because it's kind of coming full circle. So I went to school for journalism, and right out of school, I was doing this. I had if you know, you know, if you're subscribed, then you definitely know, but I had a little podcast going on. Interviewing has always been a passion of mine. I think I stopped journalism because obviously it wasn't paying at the time, and I was doing all these red carpets, and it just wasn't, I didn't want to go that route. I really wanted substance, and that I didn't get that from covering events and things of that nature for me personally. So I love that this was years and years ago. If you know, you know. And I love that it's kind of coming back full circle, and this time very much aligned with my purpose, I feel like. So from then on, I've primarily done marketing and have a clothing brand that I started in 2019 that has required a lot of pivoting. But a perfect example of I don't have to be, fitness has naturally been a lifestyle of mine, and it's always been authentically and seamlessly a part of my brand. However, I don't have to be a coach or a trainer, or would that benefit the clothing line? Of course. But like, can I be a marketing executive and have my own fitness apparel line? Yes. And these little examples that I'm throwing in here are just ways that I want to start instilling in you guys. Like, you don't have to listen to this narrative that they put on us, especially as women. So I started this line while I was working at a TV and film studio, which I absolutely loved. But unfortunately, the whole time I couldn't really give it the love and attention, my business, that it requires because I had to pay the bills. So I was always a full-time employee doing something. I worked at a TV and film studio. Out of that, I got into marketing. Throughout my whole journey, I've kind of always delved into marketing. So now I'm in a really weird season of life. You know what? I am not even going to sugarcoat it. So I'm going to keep it really real with you guys. I'm in this transitional phase because March, I was laid off from my full-time marketing job. Fortunately, I was in a really good place at the time where I just felt God's peace immensely over me. And I just truly felt like it was meant to be. To keep it real, I was really miserable there. I just was not aligned with my passions and my purpose. But all that said, I did feel God's peace. I did feel encouraged. I did feel positive and hopeful. And I felt good, right? I'm okay. And then April 1st came around and I got to pay rent. So it was just still okay. Thank God. Thank you, Jesus. But just a reminder and some pressure. And April got really tough. And I think I'm try and keep a long story short, I'm in a transitional phase where I'm praying and like just trying my best. My number one goal is to align my income and my wealth and my source of finances to my passions and my purpose and God's work. And that's another thing that I just don't feel like is a lot to ask, that society kind of tells us is like, I want to like my job that I do for a living every day, if not 5 days a week at the least. That's not a lot to ask for. And I just feel like we have to break out of a lot of the things that society tries to tell us. Because for me, I feel like I believed like, oh, well, I'm lucky to have a job. And no, I'm actually super qualified. I'm very valuable to whatever team, gets to have me. And yeah, that said, I think just to give you guys a little bit of the tea, I think I'm transitioning more into taking on clients or doing project by project basis as opposed to another full-time job. But I'm also 100% in a season of God, I want whatever it is that you want for me. I surrender completely. So if that's a full-time job I never thought of, cool. If that's just clients on the marketing end or project management, whatever the case may be, cool. I think God kind of gave me this time and has been nudging and nudging and nudging me to start Hersatility and to pour into my brand, Posto Athletica. So I'm using this time, doing whatever I feel like he's telling me to do, trying to stay obedient, trying to stay positive. But I share that to share with you guys. Like, people who go on my social media would never guess that. You know, they don't know I'm going through it. They don't know what's happening. And there's so much more, again, the layers, so many more layers that have kind of added to the stress and things like that. So many other factors that we'll keep private for now, but you just never know what someone's going through. So I say that to say, don't be hard on yourself. Don't compare yourself to others, and definitely do not base your life or your standards on social media, because as I'm sure you've heard before, that is everybody's highlight reel. So I do want this space to be a safe space for not just myself, but the people watching and the guests who come on here. I want to be authentic. Like I said, I want to be really transparent, because I want to bring that sense of comfort, relatability, and hopefully even healing throughout some of the stories that are told by these women with you guys. And that's my goal for Hersatility. And I cannot wait to get this started. I'm really happy that we're getting the first episode out of the way, because it's a stepping stone for me. But when I tell you guys, I don't know why, I'm just so nervous, but it's going to happen. We're not going to let the enemy play with us anymore. We're doing it. It's happening. And I can't wait for you guys to come along on this ride with me. So this being season 1, obviously the first one was a solo episode. This was totally out of my comfort zone, but I'm going to try to do more of these, because I often have so many thoughts and just messages that I'm like, I wish someone would have told me that. So more to come on these, but we're going to get to the good stuff. We're going to have a lot of guests on here. Honestly, a lot of friends of mine, because they are such powerful, inspirational women that not only inspire me truly on a day-to-day basis, but also just have these conversations with me where each time we end, I'm like, that could have been a whole podcast episode. Like, somebody's could have literally gained so much wisdom or knowledge or motivation from what we just so casually talked about for an hour over the phone. So we're going to stop gatekeeping and give you guys this content. It's going to be a lot of, like I said, inspirational, powerful women that come from all different walks of life, different professional industries. And then the layers, well, that just comes with us being women. So that's inevitable, that part. Each one of them has a story. Each one of us, literally, whoever is watching, if you are not, no shade to the men, I'm just speaking to my women right now, but if you're a woman, there are so many layers to you beyond that job title, beyond just being a mom, beyond just being a daughter or a girlfriend or a wife or an immigrant or whatever it is that you are. So yeah, I truly just want to bring that relatability to you guys and remind you guys that these women that you're seeing speaking on panels or on a TV screen or that has your dream job, they are so much more like you than you could imagine. And sometimes we just get in our own heads and need that reminder and need that representation. As a Latina woman, to me, representation is super important. Growing up, I know for a lot of women of color and minority women, you don't see yourself as that subconsciously because you don't see that in the position you're looking at. So you have your dream job or what you want to do with your life, and you are subconsciously limited in your mind because you've never even seen someone that remotely looks like you in that position, let alone a woman. I think that's really important, and that's kind of like a big factor of what I want to bring with Hersatility for you guys. So yeah, if you're seeing this, that means we already filmed the rest of the season, which right now, in this moment, again, so nervous for, but you guys have so much to look forward to. I honestly, as a part of this self-discovery journey that I mentioned to you, I truly feel like Hersatility is going to be a really big influence for me in this transition, in this self-identity, in this new journey. So I'm truly grateful for it. I hope that it serves the same purpose, if not one equivalent to it for you guys watching, as well as the guests that come on here. So I'm really excited for this journey. I'm excited for me. I'm excited for you guys. You guys can follow us on Instagram at Hersatility. We'll be under Hersatility wherever you get your podcasts from, and you can subscribe to this YouTube channel for all of the episodes. It's been real. You guys stay tuned. Woo! We did it! We did it. It's happening. Woo! Hersatility episode 1.
Yes. Okay.
Cut. I want to give a very special shout out to this episode's sponsor, Jack Daniels. One thing you guys will learn about me is everything I do is with intention. So I had events with Jack Daniels. When I tell you the versatility of Jack Daniels as a liquor is spot on, like you probably didn't even imagine. Number one, the brand itself. I know you think Jack Daniels, I don't know what comes to your head. Country music, whatever the case may be, a man's drink. And let me tell you, that is not the case, baby. Whiskey is very much a woman's drink as well, even if you do want it neat or on the rocks. So shout out to Jack Daniels for being versatile, just like us women.